Oh, hello, hello. I need some more light. Sorry, y'all. Hello, hello, hello. I got a tip. I got a tip. Simple, but very beneficial. So let me know when you come on. Just say hello, and I'll get started. Because if that's the case, I could have just made a video, posted it. You know what I'm saying? I want to share some. Sometimes, we leave lessons behind. We leave things, or let's say we don't always value certain things, and we leave them behind. When you move out of a place, you salvage some things, but some things you give away, some things you sell or whatever. But sometimes you just throw it away because you don't see the value of it in your next, where you're going, right? But there are some things that we need to, if we're walking through those things with the Lord, not just, oh, I love God and life is happening. And so we went through this with God. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Life was life and you saved. But that doesn't mean that you walk through that with the Lord, Him showing you things along the path. Some people just wanted God to get them out of stuff. And then they'll say, oh, I went through this, and so I have experience and stuff. Yeah, I'm sure. But you learn nothing. That's why you're saying you don't want to deal with it no more. Because you ain't learned nothing. If you overcame it, gained victory, obtained victory, saw that you was more than a conqueror, you wouldn't be afraid of experiencing that again. Anywho, that's what I want to say. If you are a leader, and you are over leaders, or you manage leaders, or there are people leading with you alongside, because people are afraid to say that unless it's their spouse. I don't know what this is. Anyway, and you know for yourself that a particular leader has a problem with lying, have a problem with speaking truth to every man. Don't make them responsible for people. They could do something else in the house, right, that you need them to do as you pray for their deliverance. When I say sit them down, it's like people only sit people down for moral failures, and that moral failure is usually just sex. Like, that's the only thing. Anywho, if you know they have an issue with lying, they have a forked tongue, which when we look in, what book is it? I'm trying to think. If Paul was given these instructions, if that it's a leader, and a particular leader, they cannot have a forked tongue. I don't know if it's a deacon or they can't. And you can look at it practically. If you make this person responsible for people and they lie, they just lie, right? It will be like gangrene spreading through your house. They will lie on people, to people. They will lie to you and about you. You think they won't, but they will. You can't compartmentalize lying. They don't just lie. They carry a spirit. And they use lying to get into spaces, to get out of places. They use lying to neglect responsibility. They will sabotage your house, leader. I knew of a leader. I'm sorry. I was in a house. I was in a hub. And the pastor, or the one that was pastoring, they were his apostle, but it is. Anyway, they knew that one of the leaders that they had positioned would lie. Just lie. And yet, so something happened. I think that person was set down and then they had them back up. This person, here's the problem. They would lie, but no one would question because they assumed, because it was in a position of influence, that if they told you to do this or that, because the pastor gave them the assignment to just position people to do certain things, take care of certain things, they assumed that that person was telling the truth about whatever. So they didn't question. Well, I knew that they had a power line. Practicing deceit. So when they would tell me to do something, I would ask about it. I was like, okay, so did the pastor say that this is what? Well, and so what happens is like, oh, if they tell you to do something, look at it like I'm telling you. Well, when that happened, other people thought, yes, this person was saying what the pastor said. And they questioned nothing. And this person was lying. And there was some destruction spreading through the ministry relationally between people and the pastor because they assumed. So if you know, and I come to find out the pastor knew that this person had an issue with it. But because of their relationship with the person, they didn't remove them from certain duties, or because they felt safer putting them over something instead of trusting God to tell them who should be there. Because sometimes that happens too. You put people in places because you think that, oh, it's safer to do that. And the Lord will show you that you're not trusting him with his stuff. And putting people in places or positions for yourself, for your own comfort, that idol will come down. Or it will destroy. The problem is when it comes down, it may destroy some places in the work that God gave you. So I remember this person saying to me that the pastor said something. I did not believe them. And I said, no, they tried to get me to confess something by telling them that the pastor told them I said it. And I didn't say it. So that was their last resort. And I said, if the pastor told you that, they lying. They lying. I wasn't going to say, well, no, this. No, it was a lie, right? And so I said, if the pastor, because I was so sure that the pastor didn't say that the spirit of the pastor, I was sure. And I said, no, the pastor didn't tell you that. And if the pastor told you that, they lying. But I believe you lying on the pastor. So that was it. They were shocked because I said, they lying. The pastor lying. I end up encountering the pastor. I usually wouldn't say anything because to me, if I see certain things aren't addressed after a certain amount of time, I already know that's not the way to go. So you have to ask the Lord for wisdom. And so, or opportunity. Now, don't defend yourself. Because that was a thing too, that I used to have an issue defending myself. So this was a familiar place and I refuse to defend myself. I'm not going to accept something, but I'm not going to defend, right? I'm going to leave it alone. So the person didn't know that the pastor and I was meeting that week. And I forgot what happened, but I was so bothered. And the pastor could tell, I was. And they were talking about something and they addressed something. They confronted something. And they said, did you say so-and-so? I said, yes, I did. He was like, I said, yeah, I said that. I said that in response to this, something that someone had said. They said, wait a minute, what? I said, yeah. And I said, they said that I told something. They thought somebody had tattled on them. They didn't tattle. They were right in saying, they were right in doing that because the pastors were absent and this person took it upon themselves to just do what they want. And I didn't even know what had happened. Yet I was being, and so they said, wait a minute, what? I said, yeah, and they told me that you said that I told you. What? I said, yes. I said, the thing is, I didn't even know nothing about what they were talking about. Not about not telling them or not being the one to say it, but I didn't even know what they, I didn't know what they were talking about. I was there, but I didn't know they did that. And someone else had did it. And so the pastor knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to go through, they were confronted by the pastor, and they were trying to go through finding out who said it. And they assumed that I would. You know why? Because I knew they lied. And they were deceitful, and they were trying to posture themselves in a place in the ministry where they were looked at as the pastor, and no one said no to them, and I was the only one that would, you're the only one to challenge. I said, that don't mean I'm wrong. I don't care how many people not saying that. So I'm using that little tidbit because that's something that I kind of like put aside, but I see that it's something that needs to be. It was a lesson. It was something I learned, like, hey, this is something that pastors need to do. You may love people, love them, but if you know they have a lying tongue, go in your Bible. I can't remember where it is. Where Paul was addressing that if you put you put someone in this position, they cannot have a forked tongue. They cannot practice deceit. They cannot be struggling with it. Just like if it's a deacon or something and they're given too much wine, people are like, oh, they drunk. But think about it. Let's go practically. It's not about them just being drunk. If they're trusted with money and they are alcoholic or they're a drug addict, they have an issue with drugs, and you entrust them with money to tend to certain things for the members, they can't handle being given that money to go take care of stuff. They'll spend it. You got me? So it's more to it than judging somebody about an issue they have. It's, hey, using this wisdom to set things in order or to not set certain things in place for the betterment of all. Love y'all.